yet another stream. It is another Let's Chat stream, but this time it's not about anime. So I wanted to try something new. So I haven't been streaming for the past 2 weeks. I've been really busy and flat out with a bunch of things at the moment. So I wanted to make sure I got a stream out today, but also, again, I am very busy today and I've been busy all week, and I just wanted to sort of do a more relaxing and chill chatting stream rather than a gaming stream. Um, but this time I wanted to sort of interact with you guys a bit more if I could. You know, if you guys want to interact with me, you can talk to me, things like that. So today's stream I actually wanted to do on Reddit. Okay, so I've seen a few people do these in like videos and stuff. Um, and sometimes I find it interesting just listening to other people's stories and seeing what other people think about certain things. Right, so in this video, I wanted to read two different types of Reddit stories. One being, Am I the asshole? And the other one being, Am I overreacting? Because some things I feel like are obvious to people on the outside, like, yeah, no, you're not the a-hole for this, or yeah, you are, and things like that. And it's just not obvious to the person in the situation, or it feels like it's obvious to them, but they're being told by so many other people it's they are. So yeah, so that is today's plans. Let me know if you guys enjoy this. If you do, I will do this again. Um, yeah, I just want to mix up what I do on stream with you guys. Playing games is one thing I want to do, yes. But I feel like you guys don't get to interact with me as much then because I'm trying to focus on the game, things like that. So I also want to do things like Let's Talk Anime and this type of stuff so that you guys can interact with me and I can get your input. Now, I've chosen a few stories. I have read the titles and that's it. I've no idea what I'm about to read or hear. If it's got bad grammar or I'm pronouncing things wrong or reading things wrong, I do apologize. I promise you I'm trying. Okay, let's get started, shall we? So the first one is, Am I the a-hole? Okay, so am I the a-hole for offering a frozen dinner to uninvited guests in a dinner party? Now, this is a small one. Some of them will be small, some of them will be big. I just wanted to throw in a mix. Anyway, so a couple times a year, I like to throw a nice dinner party for old friends. This time I invited 5 people. 2 were couples and 1 was single. We have all known each other for around 15 years and get together maybe every 3 months. Oh, that's nice. I think, that's a good way to keep a nice, healthy relationship. Like I feel like they're still seeing each other. Anyway, I was making fillet mignon. I don't know what that is. And a small lobster tail with 2 sides. Okay, so I don't eat these things because I've never had them. They might just not be big in Australia. I don't know. But I hear lobster's very expensive. I spent over $300 and didn't buy extra because they are served 1 each per guest and they're expensive, which is fair. I feel like you generally know who's coming, which they had planned. They invited 5 people, right? So those people are invited. That's it. No one else, right? So you buy the food for those people, and $300 is a lot of money. You know what I mean? Which is it's not too bad when like they're doing it every 3 months, and she might not spend that much every 3 months. But like, I feel like she wants to go a bit all out because she doesn't get to see her friends. Sorry, I say a she. I don't know. This could be a male. I'm sorry. I'm just assuming genders here. I'm sorry. That's very wrong of me. I know. I'm sorry. Um. Okay, so as a surprise to me, the single guest brought along his new girlfriend. Oh, okay. Who I had not met or known about. Oh, that's a bit awkward. Like, not even on your account where it's like, they've just brought somebody into your house without telling you for this expensive meal that you weren't prepared to give them. Um, but it's just somebody you've never met and you didn't know about. You know, I feel like that's a bit rough. Like I get wanting to bring your girlfriend to a dinner, but I feel like this is like a friend gathering that again you only do every 3 months. You know, so I feel like you should at least communicate with them. Like, look, I've got a new partner or a new girlfriend, and I would really love for everyone to meet her. Do you mind if I bring her? You know what I mean? But like the fact that they didn't even know about this girl, I don't know, maybe like they've just gotten with her and it's like, oh yeah, you come with me, or you know, they're a bit lonely in the friend group because they don't have a relationship. I don't know if this person has a is in a relationship. They didn't state it, so it's like I think that's a bit off. Okay, I was nice about it but upset because I only purchased enough meat and lobster tail for the guests who are invited, which is fair, especially if it's expensive. Um, I talked to the friend who brought the uninvited guest and said that I didn't have extra food and the filet mignon cooked to individual doneness. Sorry. Oh, okay. So she's sorry, they've even made it so that it's cooked to like that person's liking. I think that's what that means. Okay. And lobster tail isn't something that can be cut up and divided or spread out between more people, and said that I had frozen pizza or another frozen dinner I could heat up. I think this is fair. She was uninvited, and the fact that they didn't give a heads up that she was going to be there. I think this is on the friend so far. He was very upset with me and accused me of not liking his new girlfriend and trying to embarrass them after his outburst they left. Well, let him leave. Really. I mean, it's sad because one, you've been friends for 15 years, and two, that's that's a meal you've just wasted because he's not going to eat it. But I feel like he should have let you know and like been like, hey guys, this is our friend meet up. I know that, and I know you've only invited us, but do you mind if I bring this person? I'd like you to meet her. I feel like if anything, he's embarrassed himself with the tantrum too. Okay, was I wrong? Should I have cut up the fillet and lobster tails and spread it out between an extra person instead of offering a frozen meal? I feel like, again, I don't know what either of these two meals are. Um, Hold on. Let me find out. Ah, okay, I see. Okay, so what I probably would have offered was, um, you know, split his share. Like, if he's gonna come in here, crack it, bring a friend, a girlfriend, without letting anyone know or asking if everyone's okay and comfortable with it, split his meal. Like if that's on him, so just cut his thinger. There is also an edit. I'm flabbergasted. I personally would hate it because I don't like if I'm hosting something, I don't like I won't say I can't handle it because I can handle it, but I'm not big on surprises about it. So it's like it's I'm not very spontaneous. All right, I like planned things. That's how I am. Okay, edit. I didn't think of them splitting their plates at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's yeah. I have ADHD, so I have some issues with changes in plans and multitasking. Yeah, so what he's done is he's just thrown a wrench in the night, and she's sort of sorry, this person has sort of struggled to digest it, and so they didn't think about the splitting of the plates. But he could have also mentioned that, like, he could have turned around and been like, "Look, do you mind if I just split my dinner? Um, is that okay?" Instead, he threw a tantrum, so I think he embarrassed himself too. Okay, anyway, another friend messaged tonight that the friend that brought the uninvited girlfriend had been arguing with her before the dinner. So that is part of the reason he was upset and quick to leave. Oh, okay. All right, guys. So we've got the context now. I think yeah, I think they both kind of got a bit flabbergasted. But I just don't understand what went through his head to think that, like, she could come. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not being mean to her. I've got nothing against her. And I don't think this person does either. I think she's a bit flabbergasted the fact that he would come and bring her without an invite or a heads up. But yeah. Okay, so let's read some comments. Yeah, okay, so not the a-hole. Who the hell brings an extra person to a dinner party without notifying the host beforehand? And that's what I'm saying. Like, you'd think that they would think to notify them. You know what I mean? The reply to that was someone who doesn't cook probably just reheats the assembles food and doesn't know what goes into real cooking. So yeah, and I think because they stated that yeah, I also thought of that. So this person says a gentleman would have eaten a frozen meal and let his uninvited guest have his meal, not the a-hole for you, but boyfriend looks bad. He does a little bit. Like, my yeah, my instincts would be like, but I'm also a bit of a people pleaser. But my instincts would be like, you eat. I'm not even that hungry, or I'll have the frozen meal. My issue is also I can't really eat frozen meals. I have to be very careful with them because they have a lot of preservatives and stuff and things that upset my stomach. I have a very sensitive stomach. So I have to be careful with that. But like, yeah, because like if you don't let the host know, like, what if they're cooking something that your girlfriend's allergic to, you just no, 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 no. The friend messed up, and that flabbergasted you, and thus far you didn't think about splitting the plates or anything like that. These things happen. They just threw a tantrum, and that's on them. That was their choice. So I'm gonna say not the a-hole. Okay. Now this next one does have an update, so we'll read the first one, and then we'll read the update. So, am I the a-hole? Requiring BIL family to vacate the primary bedroom when my family visits our vacation house. Just based on the title. I feel like this is just based on the title. There's a lot of unknowns here. But was like the brother-in-law living in the vacation house, or were they just vacationing there? I'm a little curious about that. And like, is the primary bedroom necessary for this person's family, or we'll find out. Okay. So okay. So my 36 female parents and I own a property in a tier 1 Asian city. I assume that's good. That has been in our family for now 3 generations. Oh, that's good. That's always nice. Okay, now parents were considered. Okay, so my parents were considering selling it a while back, but I bought them out. Though I paid lower than market price, my parents were happy with the deal, and they still having a place to stay when they go back. Okay, so basically, they brought the house off of their parents with the agreement that, like, you can come back and you can visit it, vacation. So, usually the property is rented out, but my husband's younger brother fell on hard times and we offered to let them temporarily stay at the property rent free so they can save up. They've been there for the past 2 years. Okay, I don't know where the story's going to go with them moving out of the primary bedroom. Were they asked not to be in the primary bedroom? I feel like there's still a lot to be going on. Okay, so whenever we've gone back to visit, usually once a year for 2 weeks, I've had to specifically request that they temporarily vacate the primary bedroom. They hemmed and hawed the first time until my husband, 38 male, reminded them that we were doing them a favor. Which I feel like, it is, you know. So this year we are not going back, but my parents are. I gave them a half a year heads up on the dates my parents were going. All seemed fine. It's just fair that it's a half a year thing. Like, it's not like, hey, look, my parents are coming up next month. I need you to vacate that room. And like, this person might be working and shit like that. It's a half a year. That's a lot of time. Okay, last week I got a call from my parents saying they were staying in a hotel. Apparently, they arrived and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law said they were hosting friends and the only space available was the home office with a pull-out couch. Okay. That sets me off a little bit as is, because I was raised where it's like, when it comes to grandparents and parents and stuff, you don't let them sleep on the fold-out couch. You just you give up your bed. Like, if you don't have room, you don't have room. But this house clearly has room, and the brother-in-law and sister-in-law have just been like, yeah, no, we're gonna make sure there's no room for your parents. Which is a bit rough. If I was one of the guests and I knew about it though, I would probably turn around and be like, okay, well, I'm staying in this room, they can have that room, and I'll have the fucking study with the fold-out couch. Because it's just, and then I would never talk to the brother-in-law and sister-in-law again. Okay, so my parents are in their 70s yet, and did not want to fight them after a long flight, and also did not want to antagonize my relationship with my in-laws, so decided to move to a hotel. Ugh. I was furious. I don't blame you. Typing this, I am still furious. I told my husband that he should be the one to handle this because no one would like the way I handle it. Yeah, because brother-in-law and sister-in-law would be kicked out. Like, you're still staying in another person's home. You've still got to respect their wishes and their home. So my brother and sister-in-law texted me and left me a voice notes, calling me a bunch of names. In-laws have called me begging to reconsider and give them my grace. No. Frankly, I don't really care what happens to brother-in-law and sister-in-law anymore. I haven't responded to any messages and just letting my husband deal with it. Just the sheer disrespect. Like, I just, like, what would you guys have done if you were in brother-in-law and sister-in-law's situation? Like, I feel like I would just be like, okay, so this primary room is the room that you guys want to use when you come holidaying. So I would just leave it empty the whole time. Like, I wouldn't live in that room. You know what I mean? Like, some people would complain, like, oh, you know, they probably have the bigger closet there, or the walk-in bathroom, the ensuite, that type of thing. I grew up without any of those. I've still never had one of those, actually. So, you know, that wouldn't bother me. So I'd be like, okay, I'll just stay in this room, and I'd be like, hey, do you mind if I store some stuff in the primary bedroom though? Like, you know. So then you've still got area for storage type thing, but like when they come visit, it doesn't interrupt you. You know. I feel like that's what I would do. Cause like I don't want to. You know. I feel like it's disrespectful. Anyway, that's just me. Let me know down. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. Like, do you guys view what they're doing as disrespectful, or would you view it as normal, or what do you guys think? Because I don't know. But there is an update, as I said before, so we're gonna read the update now. Okay, so brief update. My husband ended up handling the situation and had to take time off to travel back, which he was not pleased about. I don't blame him. Okay, like I don't know what he does as a job, but taking time off to have to go deal with family members, like just because they're being like rude bastards, like that's just yeah. I wouldn't have to. I don't know how. We had decided it was prudent for us to pay for a few months of alternative housing for them as a way to cover all our bases. As I'm so glad we did. Okay, so basically they've turned around and like you need to get out of this house. You know, if you're not going to respect our boundaries in our home, then you need to leave. And that's fair. And they've paid for a few months of them to stay in an alternative house. You know, they've done everything they can to help them, but they're like, yeah, it's time you move on now. All right, you can't live off of our backs. Okay, so I had okay. I had in a fit of temper jokingly said to husband that they were going to tell us they couldn't move out because they're pregnant. Oh my god. And lo and behold, when brother-in-law used that excuse, apparently it just sent my husband off. This is a man that's never raised his voice to me above an excited ramble. Ooh, I think the rage he went into genuinely scared his family. Well, in fairness, Like, I get it. I do. Oh, like, oh yeah, we're struggling with money, you know, we need your help, we're gonna live off your backs, yada yada yada. Oh, but we're pregnant now. Like, well, there are precautions you can take so that that doesn't happen, because you can't afford a kid, you know, this poor kid. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law are now situated in the alternative housing. My in-laws called my parents to apologize, and overall the whole atmosphere is tense, but at least brother-in-law and sister-in-law are no longer living at my house, and we can have peace of mind there. Yeah. All in all, through this experience, I feel incredible love and pride to have married my husband. I married this I made I married this straight off the boat dude based on his principles, integrity, and kindness. And time again, he's shown me why I have zero regrets over it. That's always nice, you know. It's always a nice relationship. Um, yeah, I like that ending. Um, don't know what the brother-in-law and sister-in-law are gonna do after a couple months, but I can say they're gonna struggle their booty patooties off with a baby. So reading the comments, everyone seems pretty happy. With the ending and just, yeah. I think the fact that they paid for the hello. I think the fact that they paid for the accommodations for a few months, that was, I think that was like nice of them enough. Like they didn't have to do that. They could have just told them get out of my house, you know, but they didn't. Oh, okay, hold on. Is that a bit better? Does that help? Ugh. Um, okay, so am I the asshole again? And did I overreact? Okay, so they want to know both this time. Okay. Okay, so me, 20 female, went out with a guy, 24 male, and ended up calling him out for being low effort. Ooh. I have known people that don't put much effort into things, especially the relationship. So I can understand that. But let's see how it goes. Let's see if this person really is low effort or she is overreacting. I feel like when you call them out, they don't like being called out, and then you like put down the evidence, and they're like, no, that's not true, and you know. But I don't know what they're putting low effort into. It might be the relation. It might just be their hygiene. I don't know. Let's find out, shall we? Okay. Is it rude to call out a guy for being low effort? Went out with a guy 2 times and had 2 phone calls, and we texted all day for 5 to 6 weeks. That is a lot of texting. I can't text someone that long. I get sidetracked, and then I forget. I actually lost a friendship over that. She didn't like that I didn't text her back right away. It's not my first stream, but I haven't streamed for 2 weeks. And I normally stream once a week, so my other streams disappeared. But I upload them to YouTube too, so. This is my first Reddit stream, though. I've never done a Reddit stream. Okay, So I planned the first 2 dates. The only okay, he only picked the restaurant for number 2 because I didn't know any of this area. Okay, so he's not putting effort into the thoughts of the dates, aside from the restaurant, and that's because she didn't know the area. Okay. Noticed that I was planning. Okay, so I noticed I was planning everything and putting all the effort in, so I started texting less in hopes it would give him the chance to meet me halfway. A lot of people do this to see how they're going to react. I feel there are just some people, especially males, and in the instance, females, with me, that don't always message as much as the other person. Like I have friends where it's like I've sent them paragraphs on paragraphs and then just they've sent me these little responses. And that's not so much because they hate me, or they're not putting up effort into our relationship or anything. That's just how they respond. That's just who they are. So it's just two different types of people. I normally stream games and stuff. I've also done a stream where I talked about anime, and at the moment I've been playing Detroit Become Human on stream. Okay, so he asked for a third date at his house. Every date he has suggested his house, which is 2 hours away from me. That's a long distance. Like, yeah, that is a long distance. I feel like meeting halfway, like an hour each, would be a lot better, or a lot easier for the two of them. Also, a date at his house. I feel like some people enjoy dates in the house. Like, I personally, my kind of date would be friggin' watching something, whether it be an anime, a TV show, or a movie with some snacks. I do like those kind of dates. But I also like to go out and do things. I like to go to cafes, things like that. Just for a chill little date. I'm not big on fancy stuff like dinners and stuff, but yeah. So I feel like some people do prefer indoor dates, but I think, a bit of mixture is good. And if one of you doesn't want to do that and isn't willing to deal with that for the other person, then I think it's just a compatibility issue. Okay. I suggest a pretty walk and dessert in a town between the both of us. Oh, that sounds nice. He said that'd be fun and left it at that. 4 days passed and he said nothing about the third date. So I told him that my weeks were getting busy and to let me know of the day and time that worked for him and I could see if I was free. Okay, so she's waited for him to sort of decide on, like, when we're doing it, which is fair. I've done that before too. Not so much on dates, but like hangouts with friends. He said weekends work for me. I told him I agreed that weekdays were probably off the table and weekends would be best option, which normally it is when you're working. He replied, yes, just the weekends. So I left him on read. Oh, sorry, red. I probably would too, because I wouldn't really know what to say. If he can't ask me when I'm free or pick a day, it seems low effort. Been there, done that. Okay, so she's been in a low effort relationship before, and she doesn't want that again. Which I think that's fair. I've also been in a relationship where it's like the person can't keep up with me in terms of like things I want to do and go out and do things in the world and things like that. Yeah, so I feel like, yeah, I understand not wanting to be in that kind of relationship. And again, it just might be a compatibility issue. but I guess we'll find out. So, oh no. So he also commented on my body a few times, which is fine, which I'm fine with, but it felt weird. I have a sternum tattoo, and we were telling each other what our tattoos meant. First 1.5 weeks of talking. Okay, yeah. I told him about the sternum tattoo, and he responded, "So when can I see it in person?" Then a few days later, he invited me to his house for the first date. I denied and offered lunch, which he said was great. Then he made a comment on my lip piercing, asking if it hurt. I said not really, def not my worst one. Bad idea because I set myself up for this. He asked what my worst piercing was. I told him to guess, and he said nipples or a part of your ear. I don't think the ears really hurt when getting pierced, do they? Like I've got the bottoms of my ears pierced, which is very common. But I don't have any other parts. Do you guys have other parts pierced? Do they hurt? Like a lot? I've had my eyebrow pierced a while ago. That's closed up now. But like that one hurt more than my ears did. Anyway, I do have my nipples done, and oftentimes I'm not wearing a bra in photos I send him. Oh, so I think he knew. Okay, so he was specifically reaching for that answer. I eventually told him I had them done, and he started asking me about my jewelry. Then asked me when he could see them. I said I don't know, and he asked me to his house again. I said maybe dinner/lunch again, and he said he was cool with going. I don't like this guy. Is it just me? Yeah, I don't like him. It's not so much he's not caring though that is making me not like him. It's the I don't know, he seems very pushy on getting her back to his house. But like he keeps going out on dates with her, so it's like it's not like he's just an introvert and he's scared to do it. So then you'd be like, hey, look, I'm a bit of an introvert. Can we go somewhere quiet or something like this? You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So I don't know. Is that just a me thing? It might just be a me thing, but I don't like it. Okay. He is also super attentive in person, but never asks me anything over text. The first phone call we had was 3 hours long, and I'll be honest, a lot of the conversation I initiated, or the phone call was silent otherwise. He was watching a basketball game, though. Why are you calling during a basketball game? Like, like if you're a big basketball fan, right, and you've got a girlfriend, and they're trying to call you to chat with you, to, have this 3 hour long chat with you, this long chat. Uh what do you count as that? Like, is that, would you be like, hey, do you mind waiting until after the game, or would you do that? Because I feel like if you really care about someone, you're like, look, I want to watch this game. Do you mind if you give me like um a couple hours? I don't know how long basketball games go for, right? I'm sorry, all I watch is Kuroko no Basket. I watch soccer games, but that's mainly because I have a family member in soccer. Um, but yeah, I feel like you'd want to give them all your attention. So you're like, hey, do you mind waiting until after this game? And then I am all yours to infinity and beyond. You know, I feel like if a guy said that to me, then I'd be like, done. I can do that. Okay. We did discuss what we were looking for as well. I said that I was looking to make a connection, which I felt we had talking about childhood trauma, family, friends, lifestyle. First call, 3 hours, and you were talking about trauma? oh, that's a broad subject. He said he wasn't actively looking for a relationship, but if he made a connection with someone, he wanted to explore what that would look like. Based on the combo of consistently asking for house dates, bringing up my body, and never really asking questions about me unless we are face to face, kind of made me think he was looking for a hookup. It does sort of seem like that, and people might question that because, like, you know, he's going on dates with her and stuff. You know, why would you be going on dates and stuff if you know, you're just looking for a hookup? But he might really be into this kind of girl, like, you know, with the tattoo, with the piercings, you know, might be really, really up his alley. So he's like, all right, gotta sacrifice everything, gotta go on these dates so that I can get into bed with this girl, you know. Some guys, you know, and some girls, to be honest, some. Oof. Anyway, I unadded him on Snap because he left me undelivered for almost 2 days, even though we talked all day, every day. And figured he wasn't into it. Okay. He ended up texting my number and asking why I unadded him, so I told him the mixed signals he was giving me was confusing, which is fair. It sounds confusing. I don't even know what he wants. I don't know where his brain is. Given I'm not actually there, I don't have full context, I just have this. Okay, so he came up with a lame excuse saying he should have answered, but I was being dry. Ooh. Ooh. I said I was being dry because of his mixed signals and wasn't sure I was supposed to respond. Or how I was supposed to respond. Yeah, I feel that. He said that he thought it was a miscommunication and it was his bad. So I said miscommunication. I think you displayed your intentions pretty clearly. You asked for a third date, but never bothered to plan it, and you haven't asked a single thing about me over text in like a month. And for every date you've asked me to your house, I'm not doing the heavy lifting for a guy who just wants text validation. Was that too much? Should I have read him on Snapchat and text him again? I think she expressed how she felt. Like, she just went, all right, he's not interested. I'll leave it there. You know, because she thought, you know, I'm clearly bugging him. You know, he's not interested. Okay, so you know, you do the obvious thing, and you just stop talking to them. You know, you're just like, all right, I don't want to deal with that right now. That's not part of my life right now. I'm just gonna, you know, I just go about my life. You know, I'm looking for a connection with someone. I'm not feeling it with you anymore. You clearly don't want this. I'm gonna go somewhere else. That's fine. And then when he questioned it, you know, she told him how she felt. You know, this is how you're making me feel. You know, this is what it is. I don't want this. This is just not what I want. And you know, I think that that's the right thing to do. Like, communicate your feelings. It is, if you don't, that's where it all goes downhill. You know. Okay. Oh, okay, there's more. Okay, so I called out a guy, which is this guy. I've been seeing for 6 weeks for being low effort. Yeah, Okay, so yeah, she's just reframing the question. I yeah, let's read the comments and see what they think. This guy sounds like a user and a creep. I would not go to his house, nor would I pursue any additional dates with him. Sounds like he is only interested in one thing and wants to offer it up on a golden platter because he thinks it is worth a golden platter. 100% just wants to smash and dash. He just not prime cut enough to attract women who will accept that. Fair. Yeah, that's not a golden platter. Sorry, this person responded to the golden platter and went, golden platter, alright. He expects her to drive 4 hours to deliver X on wheels. Fancy suggesting a first date at his house. It's inconsiderate and lazy and definitely signals I'm just in it for the X. Even if his whole no, not looking for a serious relationship hadn't informed her of that yeah, when someone says that, I wouldn't suggest wholeheartedly jumping into the relationship. Like if like over time you start to fall for that person, then you need to speak to them and be like, look, are you still not looking for anything like a relationship, or what are you looking for? Because you don't need to waste your time with it, and you might still be friends with that person. But yeah, just yeah. Oh, all right. Let's move on to am I overreacting one. All right, how's that sound, guys? We'll go back to more am I the air horse later. So, am I overreacting for kicking out my boyfriend for texting his ex? I don't know. Who's his ex? Is she a good ex? Okay. A little backstory. We met in school, and after 2 months of talking, my boyfriend, 24, asked me out to be his 21 girlfriend. Okay. It's been a month, and before we started dating, I noticed he had a close relationship with his ex, whom he was with for 7 years. Well, that's a long time. His ex seems to be a big part of the family, is best friends with his younger sister, and frequents his house uninvited since she is pretty much welcome to do so. I feel like this might be the kind of story where it's like, it's about whether or not you can trust the ex and the amount of faith you have in your partner. Okay, so before my boyfriend started dating, I had expressed to him how I didn't like the dynamic they had, that even though they were exes for over a year, I didn't like how she would frequently call him and ask him to smoke, as well as send each other messages very casually. I told him that I'm really uncomfortable with it, and that if he cannot stop talking to her, that is fine. Just let me know, because I want someone who respects my feelings, and that I understand that they have so much established now, such as his car payments and other stuff, which is fine by me, but that her calling him when we are together doesn't really make me feel uncomfortable. Make me feel very comfortable. I feel like that is an issue. Like, I wouldn't have a problem if my partner, like if I had one, was friends with their ex still. It would more be what actions are still going on with that ex and whether or not, what her type of personality is. Because if she's being bishy snishy, it's not going to work. Um, or at least, if my partner's not standing up for me, you know what I mean. When we have had this talk multiple times, and he always tells me he will stop talking and hanging out with her, but it got sort of bad when I invited him to my house, and just when things were getting steamy, his phone turned on and revealed a snap, which was from her. Oh, please tell me he didn't stop just for her. I asked him what it was, and it was a regular streak, but he asked to see more of their chats. But I asked to see more of their chats and was full of her sending him selfies of herself as well as very casual friendly talk, such as planning to get together to smoke. Well, he's showing the chats. So on one hand, that shows a little bit of trust. On the other hand, they might have also just let the chats that they don't want her to see disappear. This really bothered me because my boyfriend has 2 jobs and he barely has time to see me, but still makes time to smoke with his ex. I told him that I was pissed off and that he should go. That's fair. Like, you need time to think about that now because you're not happy. And you don't want to have an emotional outbreak to what has happened. You want to think about it. So I think, being like, you need to go. I need time to think about this and we may end this relationship. Okay, so he tried to hug me when I walked him to his car, but I refused and told him to tell me what he wants to do. I feel very guilty and a very jealous person, and I just want to know if my feelings are valid or if I'm being unreasonable about getting angry over something like this. Am I overreacting for telling him that this whole thing makes me uncomfortable and basically asking him to pick a side? I didn't get much context on this girl, nor did I get much context on the boyfriend. But, like, are either of them trustworthy? Does it look like they could end up together again? I feel like it would not be such a bad thing to give him an ultimatum of, look, I don't care if you want to spend time with her, but can we at least have it so our time is our time? It doesn't get interrupted by her, it doesn't get interrupted by anyone else. Both of you turn off your phones during your time. You don't need them. Like, if you've got them, there's an emergency, you've got them. But they're turned off, so, or even on Do Not Disturb. You know what I mean? Like, just, if he's not willing to even accept that, then it's, yeah. I think this one is an update too, guys, so we'll go straight to the update. But yeah, I feel like... Okay, there's no update. Never mind, I was wrong. So we'll read the comments. Not overreacting. You were just his rebound. Save yourself time and headache. Walk now. 0 chances to give. Yeah, I feel like, yeah. He seems to be putting her first in a lot of situations. Like, that, or he's still trying to, like, decide between the two of you, and you don't want to waste your time with that anyway. But, like, it's just like... It's kind of bugging me now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't... Let's just go back to the comments. Don't you mean knocking out your ex? You know he's going to keep both as long as he can, right? You can't force him to give her up, so decide if you need this drama. Yeah. I feel like that's another thing. Like, he's clearly not willing to give this girl up. Like, stop talking to her. Or even talk to her less. So, like, if that's the choice he's made, then it's not so much giving him the choice, like, it's me or her. You're giving you the choice of, do I want to cause myself stress, anxiety, and sadness because I'm in love with this guy or I'm dating this guy that would rather give attention to his ex than me? Like, is that something you want to go through? I would assume not. So it's sort of like, if that's not something you want, then that's just not the relationship you want, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think most people would want that relationship. So, I mean, maybe one of you guys would. If you would, let me know. Tell me why. Because I am curious. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just curious. I like to see what other people think and what other people like and sort of why they like those things. Okay, so the next one, another overreacting. Oh, I feel like we're going one into another, and I kind of feel a little bit bad for it because I talk really fast. So I'm just gonna take a minute. If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to ask in the chat. I'm always happy to answer it. I'm happy to stop the story so I can answer it. It is completely fine with me, as I was doing before. When Kaif was messaging, I was sort of putting a pause in the story and answering. So yeah, if you guys didn't get before, I'm not so much a new streamer. I don't stream very often. I only started streaming about a month ago. But I normally stream video games and, well, now these. If you guys like them, if you guys don't like them, let me know and I won't do them, or I'll make videos of it every now and again, and I'll just post it on my YouTube. If I really like doing them, just let me know what you guys like. If you guys would like me to try something new to stream, that's fine too. But at the moment, I've been streaming Detroit Become Human, which I've been enjoying. Yeah, I've been enjoying Detroit Become Human. I've played it before, as I've said in my series while playing it, and I wanted to play it again, sort of because I couldn't really remember much of it. So far, I've done worse because I've killed Connor like 3 times. I only killed him once in my first gameplay, like when it first came out. So I've just apparently gotten worse at this game. But I'm sort of like playing games I've already played, like Heavy Rain. I got the bad ending when I first played that many years ago. So I'm gonna try and play that again. Hopefully I don't get the bad ending. But also it comes down to, if you guys want me to make specific choices, I'm willing to, because it's sort of an experiment to sort of see where you guys want me to go and things like that. Which is why I stream it, so you guys can interact with the game as well. I also stream talking about anime. So the last one I did was about Kuroko no Basuke. And then on my Twitter, I will put a poll for my next Let's Talk Anime to sort of see what animes you guys want to talk about. Which, again, if you guys have any anime suggestions, you can leave them in the chat, or you can go to my YouTube channel and put them in the comments of my last video, or just whatever video. I always read the comments, so yeah, if there's a specific anime you guys would like me to talk about, let me know. I will add it into a poll, or if I watch it and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I do need to do a reaction of this, because like some of them I haven't watched, then I will get up and talk about it. So yeah. Oh, I feel better now. I think this is a long story. Yeah. Okay. So this one goes on through the years. Apparently, they've got year markings. So, am I overreacting for saying a harsh goodbye to a friend after they quietly ghosted me for a year? So this is a friendship one. I did try and mix it up a little bit because a lot of the ones I was finding were like boyfriend, girlfriend, things like that, husband, wife, yada, yada, yada. And I sort of wanted to mix it up a little because I like the drama of multiple different relationships. So, yeah. Now we're here. Okay, so friend slowly ghosted me, secretly built years of resentment without talking to me, then wanted a conversation only after I'd noticed the ghosting. I sent a firm goodbye instead of trying to repair things. Did I react? Well, this friend clearly isn't very good at communicating, and that would be a red flag number one for me personally. Okay. Okay. I met Lava at a family event and was invited to join their new D&D campaign, where I also met their partner, Didi. I don't know if that's their real names. It might be their D&D characters' names. It might be their real names. It might be just names that this person has just thrown out there. Okay, so a bunch of us were beginners, had heaps of fun learning the rules, and I really enjoyed finally having gaming friends again. Yeah, I can understand that. I invited my partner and his friend to join the campaign, and they hit it off with everyone really well. That's great. So well that Lava and Didi joined my partner's Discord and started hanging out with his friend group a lot. Ooh. Sometime after this, Lava messaged me on behalf of Didi about something where I'd crossed the line in regards to her art. Oh, okay. We texted it through, understood each other, resolved it, and then ended with Lava telling me, "You make it really easy to talk about these things." So then why didn't you just talk about these things? My God. Campaign continued. We kept hanging out in person. Everything seemed completely normal. Yeah, I don't imagine you'd think something was wrong there. Okay. So Lava and Didi moved away, so the campaign paused. Oh, well, that sucks. I hate that when that happens. While they were away, they had several huge fights within the group. There was name calling, blocking people, then apologizing and rejoining later. Oh, that sounds like some drama I don't want to be part of. It happened enough that people were having pretty regular night chats about it. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. Is that something you guys want to do? I don't know. I don't want to deal with that. Is it just me? Like, I just... Even in, like high school years, I didn't want anything to do with that. It was annoying. Eventually they rejoined our Discord, but I noticed they stopped responding privately to the reveals and messages I'd send them. It upset me, but I figured we'd naturally drift apart. Yeah, that's fair. Eventually Lava and another friend asked my partner and me to jump into a call to discuss some D&D stuff. Oh. How nice. It turned into a 4-hour conversation about how my partner and I could improve our role-playing. Oh my God. The difficult part was that nobody could really give concrete examples. Everyone became frustrated But eventually, we landed on a few things to work on and move forward. So they were just whinging and complaining because that's what they wanted to do. After that, 2 short campaigns started. I joined both, but struggled to feel like I fit in. By this point, D&D was basically the only time I was really seeing my partner's friends anymore, and that kind of took the fun out of it. Yeah, that's fair. Lama even told me I'd improve my role playing, but I still felt like whatever I was doing just wasn't landing. Oh, yeah, that'll happen in 2024, by the way. So now we're 2025. Eventually, I left both campaigns after having respectful conversations with both DMs. Both conversations ended positively with kind words and love hearts. A few months later, I wished Dee Dee a happy birthday and noticed she'd deleted every Discord message she'd ever sent me. She still replied warmly, and we had a perfectly polite conversation. I knew someone like this back in high school. It was very annoying. Okay, then a few months after that, a partner noticed Lava had unfriended me on Discord. Turns out both Lava and Dee Dee had quietly removed me on pretty much every social media platform. So I messaged Lava, hey, just noticed we aren't Discord friends anymore and seem disconnected on a few socials. How open are you to talking about that? Okay. Instead of replying to me, Lava immediately called my partner to discuss me. I'm sorry? My partner later told me the gist of the conversation. Apparently, Lava had built up years' worth of negative interpretations of things I'd said and done. They described me as someone neither my partner nor I recognized, and even brought my mother into it. Oh my god. Why? Why was that necessary? My partner encouraged me to still talk with Lava because of his perspective. Because from his perspective, they'd simply misunderstood me. Oh lord. This guy needs help. For me, though, this completely changed what I thought was happening. It no longer felt like I was an old friend reaching out to clear the air after quietly drifting apart. That was the deal breaker for me. Which is fair enough. Like, you don't want someone like that in your life. And, like, he stated, like, you're easy to talk to, yada, yada, yada. But then, so he was clearly being two-faced that whole time. Anyway, I'd already shown in the past that I could handle difficult conversations. We literally resolved one successfully years earlier. Finding out people had instead spent years discussing me without me being there felt incredibly insulting, and it would. It would feel very isolating, especially since they're part of both your friends' groups, because they're part of your normal friend group and then your partner's friend group. Initially, Lava and I agreed we'd call sometime in the future, but after sitting with it for a few days, it no longer felt like it was going to be a catch-up. It felt like I was walking into a trial where I'd be defending myself against conclusions that had already been reached. I couldn't get my head into taking accountability when it increasingly felt like the conversation would be completely one-sided, and it would probably be like that. Yeah. So instead, I wrote Lava a goodbye message. They couldn't post an image, so they've written the actual message. So I'd prepare to read that. Okay. It was definitely harsh. It basically said that I wasn't interested in repairing relationships with people who quietly bottle things up, discuss me with others instead of me, and disappear from my life. That message really hurt Lava, and they got angry. Lava replied with several paragraphs, then Dee Dee jumped in, then they both blocked me on everything except Discord. Afterwards, the wider friend group wanted everyone to move on like nothing had happened, and for all of us to find peace again. My partner and I weren't comfortable with reconciling after that was said, for the neutrality from the others. So we quietly left the group and don't really speak to them anymore. Which I think is fair. I can't blame you on that one. Um, so, yeah, I don't. Yeah. Okay. Later on, allegedly, my partner was told by one of the friends that Lava had accidentally recorded that call with my partner and shared it with that friend. How do you accidentally record a call? And how did the partner not know? Because it states this call was being recorded. Yeah, I know, because I've accidentally hit the button before. And I've also had someone accidentally hit the button on me. So, like, you do hear it. And it's okay, it was an accident. Weeks later, I asked a few members of the group whether they'd ever had the same impression of me. They told me they hadn't experienced me that way and hadn't thought I'd said or done anything that struck them as inappropriate or particularly off. Looking back now, I think we definitely all triggered each other's wounds. I don't think anyone is totally proud of how it all played out, but I still wonder whether I should have really given that call a chance instead of sending a goodbye message. Was I overreacting for saying a harsh goodbye instead of trying to reconcile? Uh, um, the friend just felt so fake. Like, is that just me? Like they've had all that built up, right? But they're all acting all happy chappy, like, oh, you role playing skills are getting better. All this yappy chappy chap chap chap. But then that. So it's like I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, comments. Okay, that was a lot in my opinion. I just don't see the value of this friendship with Lava. Anyone who's going to talk about you behind your back, especially your partner, to your partner, is not your friend. It's that simple. And frankly, D&D sounds not fun. Why is everyone name calling and blocking each other? I like D&D. I actually record Baldur's Gate on my YouTube channel if you guys want to check that out. This stream will also be uploaded there next Friday. But yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't want to deal with that either. Okay, this one is a boyfriend girlfriend one. Okay. So, am I overreacting to my girlfriend saying the kids she could have made with her ex would be genetically superior? Automatically no. No. Just no. any any um any yeah, no, any no, no, no. Okay, context. We are both brown slash South Asian. Dark eyes, dark hair. She's 5'2", I'm 5'10". We have similar-ish faces. A lot of people have thought we are brother and sister. Her ex is 6'8". Oof. White guy with blonde hair and blue eyes. Oh my god. He's a Ken. And everybody want a Ken in their lives. They dated for about 4 years and I know him. We used to go bouldering together. What is bouldering? Do you guys know what bouldering is? The main idea being that we would be a lot of genetic variation between them. Oh, there would be a... Okay, sorry. Okay, so we were talking about potentially having kids down the line and we were discussing what our kids would look like. I said well, since we look similar, our kids would basically be carbon copies of us. That's a terrifying thought. Does anyone else want carbon copies of themselves as kids? There's probably very little genetic variation between us. We were doing some reading and we came across an article saying how genetic variation is actually ideal for offspring as it lowers the risk of genetic disease. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Is that true? I assume so. They read it in an article, but it might not be. Okay. Physically, there were some articles, and we also both agreed that mixed folks tend to have a certain visual appeal. It's not a guarantee, obviously. Sure, there's controversial, unattractive, mixed people, but they have exotic, striking features like darker skin with lighter colored eyes or something. Very unique looking in a good way. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Is that true? I mean, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not very good at looking at someone and being like, yes, they're attractive, or knowing attractive genes. So, it might be true, it might not. Okay. Then she said, damn, me and Alex would have, so that's the ex, would have had some genetically elite kids. Probably would have had tall, athletic kids, unique features due to the varied nature of our genes. Now, yeah. Hello, Wolf. Is that how you pronounce it? Wolf. Now, yeah, I guess that's true, but also I don't want to hear that. Whether it's true or not, yeah, I don't think anyone wants to hear that from their partner. So their kids would have been genetically superior to ours. Even if that was a fact, it's just a weird thing to mention. It is. It is a little bit. I don't know her. She might be a little bit scatterbrained. Uh, in a way, like, I turn around and say the randomest things sometimes, and I think if I had a partner, sometimes that partner would have been upset with me, or at least a little bit hurt. But I also, like, once I've clicked to, like, this has hurt them, I apologize and sort of try and work onto it in the future, because I've done it with friends and other partners. So I'd understand if she's a bit scatterbrained. That's not an insulting thing, by the way. Sorry, guys. If anyone is insulted by that, it just means your brain's kind of all over the place. Which, again, is perfectly fine. Okay, it's also odd that her mind went straight to her ex when I was just thinking about mixed people in general. My ex is Chinese, we were a mixed couple, but she didn't enter my head at all. Again, you might be less mixed brain. Also, do you still talk to your ex? Because you still talk to her ex. So, you know, he's still in her life. So she's still going to think about him every now and again. Not like in a way of like, oh, I want to be partners with him. But, you know, he might still plop into it. You know? I don't know. I feel like it just depends on the kind of person you are and the type of person she is, because I don't know her patterns. Like, is this normal for her? Like, does she bring up wanting things from him or missing him, or, you know, saying he's better at this, yada yada yada? Comparing your current partner to your ex's is wrong. Like, you shouldn't do that, just straight up. Anyway. She said it was just a thought, calm down, don't blow up over it. I didn't say I wanted to have kids with him, I just said how I think our kids would have turned out. I said, yeah, I get it, but it's just the insensitive thing to say. How many people tell their partners how amazing the kids they would have had, their ex would have been? Like, come on, are our kids just destined to be genetically inferior to them? No. No. And she might be wrong, like her kids with her ex might not have been genetically inferior or better. I'm really bad with this stuff, like when it comes to relationships, because it's like I feel like to each their own in relationships, and I'm very chill when it comes to being in relationships, which is why I don't really get in them, because I don't really see a purpose of being in one. I like my friends, but some people really like them, and, you know, some people like their relationships a certain way, and that's fine. Like, it's for him to have been offended by that, I completely understand, you know, and I don't think he's overreacting to be hurt by it. And again, I don't know what, like, it might have been like she said this stuff all the time, and it's just like now he's like, hang on a minute, you bring up your ex a lot, like how he's better than me, you know. It just, yeah. But then there's also the possibility of now he's thinking in the back of his head, like, when we have kids, like, are you not going to love them as much because of that? You know what I mean? Like, it all depends on the type of person she is and the type of person he is. And it's just context that I'm not getting. Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? Please let me know. Because, yeah, this one's a tough one for me. Because I've sort of been on the understanding side of both sides. Yeah, so this commenter said, that's a weird thing to say. It might have been one of those thoughts you say out loud without thinking, which, yeah. I do agree that it would have been better if, like, we have thoughts that, like, really should not be aired to partners because they could hurt the partner's feelings. I'm not good at keeping those thoughts in. I can be very honest. Not to hurt my partners or anything like that, you know, like past partners. I haven't tried to hurt them, anything like that. But I prefer honesty because otherwise it plays on my head. There are things like that, like, I probably would have said it out loud, but I would have said it in like a joking manner because I would have thought of it jokingly. And it would also depend on the type of partner I have because I would take his personality into take. Like, if he's not going to take it as a joke and he's going to, you know, get upset over it, like, understandably, then it's like, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, I don't think he was overreacting. I think he has a right to be upset by that. I think anyone would have a right to be upset over that. Like, yeah. Excess is a very complicated thing in relationships. Just don't have exes. Just get with one person and then just stay with them for the rest of the life. Don't do that, actually. There are some people where it's like, you need to get out of that. Yeah. All right. What are we thinking, guys? Do we want another am I the asshole? Or do we want another am I overreacting? Do we feel like we're overreacting today? I feel like... By the way, guys, I have actually done a counselling course. Yes. Okay, but I wouldn't take everything I say into account. Like I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, Asuna said this, which means it must be right. You know, I'm not always right. And this doesn't give full context of everything. You know, there's probably background noise. It's just that I'm not seeing. So it's like, yeah. It's very, very hard. Anyway. We shall go for one more overreacting, and then we shall go back to the aha. Okay. Am I overreacting about my sister saying me having kids would ruin her life? Yeah. I know about you guys, chat. You tell me. Alright? People watching this on YouTube, you guys tell me in the comments below too. Make sure you tell me, alright? Because I'm not sure, you know? I'm not sure about these things. Why would it matter? Like, my brother, right? He's having a kid. He is. Fabulous little baby boy. Yeah, I found out it's a fabulous little baby boy. Now, it didn't affect me much. You know? Like, I'm not forced into anything. I'm not asked to buy things for this child. Now, of course, I'm going to buy things for this child. I'm set on a pair of overalls. This little baby boy. He needs a pair of overalls. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be adorable. But I don't see the purpose, you know, of like why it would affect somebody else, like your sister. Like, I don't know why it would have ruined her life. I feel like that's a bit odd. Anyway, I, 32 female, have wanted kids for years. Understandable, though. You know, they are terrifying, adorable little goblins. My sister, 29 female, and her husband, 28 male. Also want kids. Alright, well, that's fine. They can have kids of their own. You having kids does not stop your sibling from having kids. And have been planning to start trying soon. That's good for them. Our mum, 52 female, has always told both of us She'd happily help babysit whenever she's able. I recently got out of a 7-year relationship with a narcissist. Oh, damn it. Bastard. Hang on, let me just deal with that. Combined with another previous 7-year relationship, I've spent about 14 years with the wrong people. Yeah, that tends to happen. You tend to fall back into the same pattern. I'm sorry that happened. I'm in therapy, taking medication, trying to build a healthier future. That's good. That's good. I'm also very aware of my biological clock. Yeah, I think that's a thing that a lot of females who like want kids stress about. So that's fair. My sister and her husband have been married almost 2 years, own a house, and are financially capable. They recently stopped birth control because they're preparing for kids. Okay, so they've got it all. They're happy. They just want kids now. Which is fair. You get to that point, yeah. Some people are like, all right, let's have kids now. Let's do the whole house. Marriage, house, children, financial capability. Imagine that in this day and age. Okay, I'm genuinely happy for them, although I've admitted to both of them that I sometimes feel behind in life. My therapist has been helping me accept that everyone has different timelines. That feeling I understand. Yeah, I understand that feeling. I'm close to the age of 25. Not really, but I'm close. And there's just certain things that I wanted to have done or be doing by the age of 25 that I haven't gotten to yet. And, watching everyone around me get to those points, it does sting a little bit. But like, you're still happy for them. Like I'm happy you got this. You work really hard for it, and a lot of people do work hard for what they've got. Like my brother and his partner, they, like I said, are pregnant with a little beautiful baby boy. They had a lot of struggles with that. They went through IVF and they lost a bubby. So it's like, I am extremely, extremely proud and happy for them for having a kid. Little goblin. But at the same time, I'm going to kidnap the goblin. Because I'm not in a situation in my life where I can make the decision whether or not I want to have a kid or not. It's sort of made for me by financial situations and living situations. So, there's part of me where it's like, oh, I wish I could do that now. But at the same time, it's like, I'm so happy for you guys, for getting what you guys have wanted for so many years, because they've been trying for so many years. It is a beautiful thing to watch those you love get things that they worked so hard for, and it's a great feeling when you work hard and you get something you have wanted. So yeah. Anyway, over the past year, though I've felt increasingly judged by them, they've made unsolicited comments about how I shouldn't buy a house because I wouldn't maintain it properly and I'd end up looking like our dad's house. Okay, which was a painful comparison, which we were both embarrassed of how we grew up. Okay. Yeah, so your sister's digging where she knows it hurts. They've also told me I'm going to waste another 7 years on the guy I'm currently seeing and end up too old to have children. They regularly give opinions about my career and life choices, even when I haven't asked. See, that's not siblings, because like, Okay, so I grew up with older brothers, right? And yeah, sometimes they'll throw in the snarky remarks, mainly one of them. But at the end of the day, we got each other's backs and we lift each other up uh, when we need it, you know? So to me, that's what siblings is. You know, it's like you fight, you argue, you tiss and you tat. But at the end of the day, you don't shove each other down. You know, I might have just gotten really lucky with my brothers. But yeah, you don't, yeah. Nah, 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 nah. You know? Last weekend, everything finally came to a head. My mum, sister, and I spent a day together before meeting my brother in law. We all had a few drinks throughout the day. Yeah, alcohol. I assume it's alcohol. Alcohol. When it was time to leave, I told my brother in law I didn't feel comfortable driving because I was a little tipsy. Yeah, no, you don't drive. We'd already agreed beforehand that if that happened, I'd leave my car overnight and they'd take me back to their house. Okay, so I take it that's what happened. The next day, my mum treated us to getting our nails done and dinner. At dinner, I had 2 drinks and thought everyone was having a good time. During dinner, I mentioned wanting to be a mum someday. My sister interrupted me and said that me having a child would ruin her life because my child would take her away her babysitter and she'd have to quit her job to raise her own kids. First of all, first of all, you're supposed to raise your own kids. That's the whole point of being a parent is to raise your own kids, right? I missed a step in the raising kids booklet, did I? That it's a really small booklet because it just says raise your kids. Good luck. But I'm assuming because it says raise your kids, you got to raise your own, right? And it is just good luck because if you know it's. Oh, I don't have any kids, but oh, oh. That really hurt because our mum has always said she'd help both of us. Oh well, that was rude. Sorry, my headphones decided they didn't want to function anymore. They wanted to be turned off. Anyway, it also wasn't the first time babysitting had come up. Months earlier, when I mentioned our mum watching my future kids someday, my brother in law got upset and said, we asked her first. That's fine. You. She. You can share a mum. You know, that's generally what happens when a mum has multiple kids. She shares herself with those children. And to be fair, you're both lucky to have a babysitter in your mum's adult. Some people don't get that. Some people have entitled mums that they don't want around their kids. Some people just live far away from their mums, so their grandkids, so their kids don't get to go stay with their grandparents very often. You know, you're very lucky to even have like a day or two a week where you can just, you know, hand off your child. Yep. Later that night, my sister drove me to pick up my dog from daycare because I'd been drinking. While we were driving, my brother in law called and asked why can't she drive to pick up her own dog, even though everyone had already agreed I shouldn't be driving after drinking. That also bothered me. Yeah, it's a bit of a snarky comment, you know, like do you just not want to help me out, like, you know. The next day, I sent them a respectful message. Also, why were you drinking if you had to go pick up your dog? Like, I feel like you would you would plan for that. I don't know. Did I miss something? Anyway, the next day I sent them a respectful message explaining that my sister's comment about my future children and my brother-in-law's questioning why I wasn't driving had hurt my feelings. I used ChatGPT to help organize my thoughts because after years of being criticized by my ex for how I communicated, I still struggled to express myself clearly during emotional conversations. Ugh, what a bastard. Poor girl. Neither of them responded. Instead, my sister told our mum she wasn't going to talk to me for a while. I panicked because I felt completely unheard. I'm not proud of it, but I lost my temper and sent more messages. My sister eventually replied saying she had been trying to keep the peace and that I was selfish, mean, immature, and a drain on her mental health. Go, you're a drain on your sister's mental health. No, you ain't. Alright? No, 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 no. No, no, no. She then said, I never said you having kids would ruin my life. I said you having a kid out of spite would ruin my life. And I stand by that. Why would she have a kid out of spite? She just mentioned wanting a kid. The problem is, I have never once said I'd have a kid out of spite. I've only ever told them that because of my age, if I accidentally become pregnant while practicing safe eggs, I wouldn't consider it a tragedy. I'm financially stable enough to raise a child and would see it as a blessing, which is fair enough. You know, some people would, and that's okay. She ended her message by saying she hoped I would grow up and not die alone like our grandfather. God, she likes throwing out family members, this girl. That comment was incredibly hurtful, and we haven't spoken since. One last piece of context. Okay. My sister later told me that my brother-in-law had been texting her during dinner saying I was ruining her birthday like always and asked if he should talk to me about how I was acting. I asked my mum if I'd been acting inappropriate before my sister made the comment about my future children, and she said she thought I was acting completely normal. This whole situation feels out of character for my sister, which makes it even more confusing. Am I overreacting for being deeply hurt by my sister saying that my having a child would ruin her life? No, no, no. Edit. We were on a family staycation. I'm a lightweight and do not drink often. They drink as much as I did. They drink more often, and they have cars that drive themselves and jobs that probably would allow them to be pulled over without, repercussions. Well, that doesn't mean they should be on the road. I'm not going to go into their jobs. All the times to pick my dog up were all agreed to. I understand being a lightweight, things like that. I am a lightweight too. I have one drink of most things and I'm a little bit hazy. But I also sober up pretty quickly. But after any alcohol, I won't drive. In fear of death. And fines. A few fines. I don't like fines. Yeah. In the comments, it says, only have children if you can afford daycare and don't rely on your mother. Your whole family sounds exhausting. Daycare is very expensive. But I do agree that part of having a kid is also preparing for those external expenses. You know, like having a kid, you're going to pay for a crib. Things like that. daycare, like childcares and stuff, are very expensive. I know that. But, like, you know, what are you going to do if something happens to your mum, you know? Like, what are you going to do with your kid then? You know what I mean? Also, I think childcares are, like, in Australia are very complicated in a way that they can be good and they can be bad. I don't trust a lot of the workers, having been worked in one before and just seeing how lazy a lot of the workers are just in so many different centres. And, you know, it just, yeah. Your child isn't the safest. When they're there, you know? But they're also, you know, they get the socialization skills and stuff they need before going to school, things like that. So, you know, yeah. It's a double-edged knife. And yes, I know it's sword, but we're gonna say knife. Because I like knives. Okay. Somebody suggested going to coffee, and OP said, I don't think she'll agree to going coffee with me, as we haven't talked since the fight. I do believe she's going through something. She's usually pretty blunt, but has never said something so outrageous to me. It's hard because I really can't accept that type of behavior. Which is fair. You've been hurt by somebody who's supposed to have your back. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a toughie. It's a toughie, guys. It's a toughie. It's always tough when it comes to family. But yeah, I think she needs to step away from her sister. Just let her sister come back in time. Just be like message her if she can. Just, you know. Look, I want to talk this out, and sort of repair what's broken in our relationship. However, I understand if you need time, let me know when you're ready to talk about it, and we'll talk, and then sort of see where it goes from there. If she never wants to talk to you again, well, you've tried reaching out and discussing it with her, so it's sort of on her that she didn't want to reach out and talk as well. Yeah, you've thrown a hand that way, and then you've given it a try. You know, if you talk, yeah, things like that. You just gotta try. You know, it doesn't always work out the way you plan, especially when it comes to family and things like that. It just doesn't. I wish it did. So many things fall apart, and it can make it so very hard. It just, yeah, I don't know what I would do aside from just message her and be like, look, when you're ready to talk, we'll talk. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's one big complication. Anyway. Okay. We'll do one more. And we shall do... Let's do this one because it's going to update, and it's not too long, not too short. We might be able to fit another one. So this one is Ama de Eha. De Eha, guys. De Eha. For telling my family about my mother did to me. I don't know. What'd your mother do to you? feel like that's one of the hardest things you could do is out your mum. Mainly because, you know, like, your family's gonna want to have her back and stuff. Hi, two hot takes. Been a long time listening, but first time poster. I need advice. Well, I will give it to you. It may be horrible. Okay, so I am 20. I, 24 male, recently cut off my mum and told her family about what she did to me during my childhood. Oh, well, this doesn't sound safe. I don't and have never had a good relationship with her. I have tried for years to mend our relationship and tried to change her behavior, but realized it was a waste of time. Anyway, my fiance and I recently went on a trip to visit my dad's side of the family, which is about an hour away from where my mother lives. We had travelled 6 hours at this stage and had already agreed that we wouldn't be seeing her. I was adamant on that. Fair enough. Somehow I haven't found out yet. She had been told that we were there and proceeded to ring me 100 times and left 50 plus voicemails. Jesus Christ. Where she told me how horrible of a son I am, how I'll never be good enough, and you get the gist. What I get the gist of is your mother is abusive. I decide to ring her back and told her that this relationship is over and I'll never be contacting her again, and from now on she is blocked. She did not react well. As per usual, I blocked her number and haven't heard anything since. Now here's where I might be the a-hole. Okay. I rang her sisters, who have lived together for a long time, and told them everything about my childhood. From every argument, every physical altercation we had, all the emotional distress, and what she said in multiple voicemails. I had photos taken of my body as a child when social services got involved, which I showed them also. Jesus Christ. Well, I was right about the abusive part. Jesus. They were shocked and said they didn't know this was going on. It's a lie, but I'll let that slide. Okay, so obviously they did know. Which is fair. You would think that people would notice. And if there's photos from social services, I'm assuming there was bruises. Or at least some form of mark. They have since been in contact with her and told her about what I said. She, of course, denied it, but because I had physical proof of it, she could only deny it for a short time. Sorry about that, guys. They believed her side of the story, though, and are now trying to convince me it's all in my head. Yes, the physical evidence, the images, they're all in my head. I made those up. I clearly photoshopped them. And that I should forgive her because she's my mum. That does not give her rights. The old saying, you only get one mum stuff. Yeah, they're right. You do only get one blood mum. You might get another mum who's a much better mum. And they might just be a mother figure, you know? Yeah. But I don't think that really matters. Because the simple fact is, she's abusive. That's abusive. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for cutting off my mum and telling her family about it? If not, how do I deal with this situation to help them believe my side of the story? Well, are you close with them? Does it matter if they believe you or not? Can you just cut the entire family off? What are your choices here? There is an update, by the way. It's only a small one, but it's an update. My apologies for taking so long to update you all. This has been a super messy situation. Onto the update. I cut them all off, right? See, I blocked them all. It wasn't worth my time nor energy to force help. To force/help them see where I was coming from and what they were blind to. Thank you everybody for all your comments and support. I knew I wasn't crazy, but they were making me out like I was. No, I think that they did the right thing. Yeah, I think that that woman, his mother, and her sisters needed to be cut off. I think for your own mental health, my dude. They don't deserve you in their life anyway. So it doesn't really matter. It just, yeah. It just, yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. Oh, because my voice is getting a little bit sore, my throat. And I do have a few things I need to do today. Anyway, don't forget, be you. Try not to swear. Have fun, my little elves.